Before anything else, I want to tell you that I am not going to consider the whole bait and switch that Daniel Babra did and all the work injection into the game for the score. I will focus exclusively on the gameplay. You may feel disappointed about this, but trust me, there is enough bad stuff here to criticize that I don't need to use the woke argument to pile on this game. And I already didn't bought the game. I already made 2 videos about this topic, so if you want to know what I think about it, go watch them. I'm not going to lie, what they did to Henry and Hans, it's nothing short of a fucking travesty. It's fucking insulting what they did to those characters. The bait and switch was real with this game. Everything that has to be said about that topic has been said already. So my best advice for people that dislike the woke bait and switch is to not buy the game. Don't fucking buy the game. That's it. I tried to like the game. I really tried to like it. I really did. And there are some things that are good about the game that are really good. But overall, it's a very disappointing experience because the moment you start trying to interact with this supposed sandbox, the facade is exposed and you can then go back. The illusion is broken and your experience is ruined. I am going to get right into it because I don't want to delay things further. Let's start with the things I liked about this game. The best aspect about this game is the atmosphere and how immersive this game is without being a nuisance to the player, like Red Dead Redemption 2 was. The graphics, the sound effects, everything collaborates to make this game a really great immersive experience. You feel like you are part of this world the moment you actually get to play it. The graphics are really good, except the rain effects and the flowers that still look like fucking paper. It's not made in Unreal Engine, so even if it goes for a realistic look, it doesn't look generic because of this. It looks actually amazing. The game does happen to have a memory leak, and you need a mod to activate a sync compute to increase your FPS. The other aspect that is good about the game is the characters. I really like Henry and Hans. They are a great pair and make the otherwise meh story tolerable, and honestly, if not for these two guys, many would drop the game. They are literally the ones carrying the whole story and narrative. I like that the game doesn't hand you everything on a silver platter. You have to earn your place in the world. You have to work to get your money, but once you get to be self-sufficient, you really feel rewarded for it, and not many games these days really try to do that. So this is a huge win for this game in my opinion. The dice added more mechanics and made it more interesting. It is still a very fun minigame to engage, even though the AI is clearly fucking cheating. The combat is a bit better than the original, even though it is still dogshit. It is an improvement. Feints actually work this time around, and they are going to be the main way to do damage now. It's better than what it was. Some of the quests are actually pretty interesting to do, and some of them really put you at the edge of your seat, so that's also good. Some quests have alternative ways to complete them, so that is always appreciated instead of just linear quest design. Sadly, not all of them are this way. And finally, I really like that there are a lot of options to solve problems, convince people, avoid fights, and overall many ways to use your speech skill and how it interacts with the charisma stat, your speech skill, and the things you're wearing. Easily one of the best systems in the game. I had a lot of fun with this part of the game. Now, let's go with the actual meat of the review, the bad. The first thing I noticed right out of the bat was that this game, this quote-unquote sandbox, is lame. There is nothing really to do, and it all started from the beginning of the game where you're tasked to find a job. I honestly was very excited because I thought I could just go to some NPC and do jobs for them like cutting wood, picking herbs, hunting or something. But no, I searched for hours trying to find a fucking job, and turns out it's just a scripted fucking quest where you have to either work for a blacksmith or a thief in a mill. This event killed the game for me, and after that I could not take the game seriously anymore. I tried to let it slide, but the more I kept playing, the more I confirmed that the world is fucking dead. Nothing happens in the background. The NPCs do have routines, but they don't do nothing. The world is for all intents and purposes static, and unless you do anything like stealing, killing, you won't see anything exciting in this quote-unquote sandbox. Aside from that, the only other thing that happens is these quote-unquote random encounters every time you fast travel, and it's always the same bandits assaulting someone or some dude to talk, etc. It's so fucking amateur. So for starters, the quote-unquote sandbox, it's terrible. If you want to play this game like Skyrim or something more advanced like Mount & Blade, Kenshi, X4, or those real sandbox games, you will be really disappointed. Part of the stupidity of this sandbox. Merchants will know that you are selling them stolen goods because they are fucking psychics. It's so fucking stupid. The save system is terrible. They want you to craft these potions to be able to save on the go, and the other way to save is to be sleeping on a bed you own. This actually causes some very stupid problems. Just download the mod that allows you to save like any normal game out there. It's clear they are making it this way to artificially make the game appear deeper and harder than it really is. Contrary to what other people may tell you, I think the game is badly optimized. Needing DLSS to get past 60 FPS with no ray tracing is not good, and let's not kid ourselves. It is made in the same engine of the first game, and it was just as badly optimized back then. There is barely any combat in the game. Most of the quests involve talking and exploring doesn't really lead you to a lot of combat, save the few bandit encounters here and there, and most of the time not even that, because the world is empty. The conversations in the game are also just pointless questions, details that are just there for the sake of being there. And it got so bad that I just started skipping dialogue lines or didn't choose certain dialogue options that I knew they were going to lead me to more verbal diarrhea. Enemies seem to not have any stamina whatsoever and just keep attacking without issues. And talking about the combat, while it is indeed improved in general, it has many step backs too. For example, now only swords get to do master strikes, while the other weapons get nothing that makes them unique. So basically, now the meta is playing swords, because master strikes, even reworked, keep being the safest and most potent way to engage in combat. There are perks for Master Strike with unarmed combat, yet there is no way to actually do it in-game. It's completely stupid. How can they make perks around a mechanic that isn't implemented in the fucking game? The combat is really clunky, the direction registering is pretty janky, it's very difficult to pull combos due to that fact. Sometimes you get constantly stuck in terrain while circling around in combat. Combat when you have allies with you sucks, because it's very hard to even begin to fight or attack enemies, constantly being body blocked. Then, this game, for some stupid reason, needs the attack direction cursor to appear before you can actually start attacking, and that makes for another layer of unnecessary clunkiness that hurts the overall experience. The combat is still a piece of shit. It is still the piece of shit combat that has enemies constantly blocking you, even if you faint, and of course, Master Striking is the meta once again. It's terrible. I don't understand how Mount & Blade, a game that came out in 2008, does combat better than this game. I don't think you can even couch your lance here. It's horrible. Honestly, when a game like this has failed in combat, it pretty much drags the whole experience down completely. No wonder you barely do combat during quests. They know it's trash. Another obnoxious part of the game is how they encourage you to use the new set functionality of the UI, which is really good, and then you decide to have your beautiful charisma set on while the game decides that a fight will happen and now you can't switch outfits in battle. It's pretty fucking dumb. All in the sake of more realism, fucking stupidity. The game decides to put you on the shoes of another character, Godwin, and it's really annoying to be interrupted like this. There is this amazing looking city named Kottenberg on the second map, but most of the buildings and places there are inaccessible and are just there serving as decoration, which is a fucking shame. NPCs share faces way too much and hurts your suspension to disbelief. It breaks your immersion to see the same faces over and over again. Even in the main quests, for fuck's sake, you see the same guys. Come the fuck on. A lot of quests are just pretty boring and you just feel like an errand boy, like they are just fetch quests. The main missions and the main story in general have tons of padding, The worst offender is the fucking traveling conversations on horse. I fucking hated that in Red Dead Redemption 2, and now I have to suffer the same garbage here. Then the main missions themselves have a lot of mini objectives that are just padding so the story doesn't progress too fast, and it feels on the fucking nose. You know exactly why they are putting you to carry those sacks of shit. They just want you to waste time, not to mention all the times the game reuses the narrative recourse of being captured by the enemy and needing to escape. I don't know who the fuck thought it was a good idea to regurgitate this narrative constantly throughout the fucking stories. Just fucking terrible. The main quests give you a false sense that you're making decisions, but in reality you don't decide anything. You will be fooled, especially on certain quests, where you do have to decide something, but it will have literally zero impact on the next events of the story. Nothing really changes based on your decisions. The main quests don't have branching paths, and that makes the whole main quest for me feel like a fucking movie game. As typical with this type of games, stealing is overpowered, and being evil is overpowered. I don't like that. The games gives you plenty of ways to be evil and get away with it, but not to be a good person. Why I can't really get a job? Why can't I earn honest money working for other NPCs outside of doing fucking quests? Why can't I go and get a permit to hunt animals from the landlord and trade with game? Why can't I just cut some logs for money? Maybe mine some minerals and forge my own weapons to sell them? I can go on. And this goes back again to the same point I started with. The world is dead. If the world was alive and you could do many of the things I mentioned, if things happen on their own without player input, this game would be amazing. But it isn't. Aside from the questing, there is nothing to do but play dice. And it's really a shame, because it's a waste. This beautiful crafted world is just fucking dead. I forgot to mention that I am on the second map already, and I have not seen a single church. And if I remember correctly, the first game did have multiple churches and you could enter them. Oh, but you do get a synagogue, and you also get a Jewish town that isn't historically accurate. Overall, the game feels like Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a bad thing because that game, that quote-unquote game, was terrible. It was not even a game, it was an interactive movie. And the clunkiness of that game was horrid too, all in the name of realism, and it had the same problems with the open world, dead as fuck. Now, I think this game is better than Red Dead Redemption 2, but I wish the game pushed the bar, because unlike retards like Carnage and his audience that think this game quote-unquote pushed the bar.
Somebody said an interesting thing, and check this out.
At Carnage, do you think this game has set the bar too high?
Now, that is something we've heard multiple times in multiple games, especially over the last few years. This game, one of the most immersive and amazing sandbox experiences I've ever played. The bar this game sets will make the future sandbox games we all play better. They will be better games because this game went so hard into being the amazing game that it is.
What a bunch of fucking clowns. This game is very mediocre in terms of being a sandbox game. In fact, this game has the same problems I have with Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk has probably the best looking city in any video game ever, and there is nothing really to do in it. I haven't played the game since I finished it when it released, but I don't think the game has improved that much. And this is why, even though Cyberpunk is a great game, many were disappointed because many of the things they promised weren't even in the fucking game. Pair all of this with the absolutely horrid combat system and you really don't have this quote-unquote great game the fanatics are claiming this to be. It's honestly pretty mediocre. Doesn't help that this game has no action whatsoever unless some few sections in the story. All you do is fucking talk, and I don't mind dialogue or quests involving only dialogue, but in this game it's way too much. If you right now tune into any stream playing this game, you will see that they are talking. I want fucking action in my medieval game with swords. How is that much to ask? At some point, I was just so done with the amount of talking that I just said, okay, it's time to find some fucking combat or I am going to die of boredom here. And I went out to explore the second map and I found fucking nothing. It's mind-blowing. The game is fucking empty and devoid of action. People praising this game are truly fucking retarded. So my wish is, if they are doing a third one, that this time they focus on the sandbox part of the game, in making the world feel alive, active and more reactive on its own and to the player, and getting rid of the shit combat. Anything will be better than this trash. I didn't finish the game. I stopped after you get the mission from the Jewish people to help Hans. It's a boring game, a boring experience. It's not worth your money in my opinion. If you want a game like this, just go play Mountain Blade Warband or Bannerlord. Or if you want a game more similar to this style, just go and play any of the Witcher games. They have the right amount of dialogue, action, and the combat is more fun than this. And not only that, the quests actually have consequences, and whatever you do in most of these quests matter, unlike in this fucking game. It's really bad how empty this game is and how devoid of actual action. I don't like Skyrim, but in that game there can be sections where you don't get any action, especially on the outer world, but that's the thing. At some point you will find a dungeon or something to explore, where you will find combat and action for sure. In this game you will find nothing but emptier lands with nothing to do in them. If you're a fucking normie that likes to do quests and likes movie games, interactive movies, then yeah, this game may be for you. But if you are an actual gamer that wants to engage in some great gameplay, etc., you will not find it here. And like I said previously, you are much better just playing other games like the Witcher series, even if you like quest-heavy games. So overall, the game is mediocre, so it's a 5 out of 10 for me. I am even tempted to give it a lower score because it's just a bad video game. The only really good parts of the game are the world, the immersion, the attention to detail, but all of that comes down crashing when the team that was tasked with the gameplay did a fucking horrible job making this an actual game and a fun gameplay experience. Like I said, I truly tried to like this game. Even though all the work, all the garbage, I did try. And I did try it because I really liked many things about the game that relate to the immersion that this game provokes on you. But I just can't. Honestly, the game is just fucking boring. And in my opinion, it's barely even a game. It's more like one of those movie games. Seriously. It needs more work to be considered a fucking game for people like me. And with that being said, that will be all.
It's a letter of safe conduct bearing my seal, allowing you free movement within the mine. You are eager to do. I will try to get safe to do my job.